Kevin Briggs was the policeman. He was known as the guardian of the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was his job to patrol the bridge and to locate some of those people who are thinking of jumping. And I won't tell his story, but I spent many years coaching football, real football, Australian rules, in case people in Sydney are uncertain. And I could have done with a Kevin Briggs. This is what he said: "I very much despise losing. I do whatever I can to get that person back over the rail. I play to win." Kevin, I needed you about 20 years ago. To have Kevin and Kevin both here following one another is something special for us. And so I want you to give Kevin Briggs the warmest Australian welcome you can.
Thank you. Hang up here with me for a minute. Come here. Good morning, everyone. When you're a speaker and you're relatively new like I am, you want somebody to pump you up. You can do this. You can handle this. You can do this. But when somebody comes and says, "Oh, boy, I'd hate to follow that guy," where do I start?
You're a winner.
You should stand up here with me the whole time and hold my hand. Okay, let's get rolling here. I spent over 23 years with the California Highway Patrol, both as an officer and a sergeant. And today, I'd like to show and share some of those stories with you, some of those 23 years, but also my own personal life. And I'm not a big talker about my personal life, I'm really not, but I believe in setting an example. I really do. And with that, it has to go with it. So I'd like to start with a quote. "Sometimes I can hear my bones straining under the weight of all the lives I'm not living. This is what mental illness is to me." I had a big talk about this, of what I would say about this. The easiest thing I can tell you about this is at times my body feels like lead. It's difficult to raise my arms. It's very difficult to do anything in my life. But I'll expand on that in just a little while. The majority of my time while working with the Highway Patrol was spent supervising, or like I said, as an officer on that Golden Gate Bridge. And unfortunately, this photo depicts a scene all too familiar with us. A young woman over the rail contemplating her own life. I took this photo shortly before I retired. We have an officer on the side of her over the rail speaking with her. What we try to do is empower them to get below where they are, to speak with them. This young woman, a teenager, spoke with this officer for about 20 minutes or so, and he was able to assist her, to help her, convince her, however you want to do it, to come back over and get some help. Most of the time, when it comes to young people, teenagers and such, we don't even get a chance to talk with them. They're very impulsive. They come up to that bridge, and they're right over that rail. I'd like to share a story with you. Just before I retired, this occurred. We received a call of an individual over the rail. You can see what that woman is standing on. It's called the cord, C-H-O-R-D. And I was the sergeant on duty. We worked 12-hour shifts. It was starting to get dark out. I had a new commander for our area office. He's the guy in charge. And I told him, "Hey, I'm going down there. It's almost 6, but I want to make sure everything goes smooth and see if I can do anything to help." So he goes, "Okay." He goes, "But I want to go with you." He was new. He wanted to see this. And we all know what it's like having your boss hang out with you. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But he wanted to go down with me, so let's go. We get down there. One of my officers is engaging this individual over the rail. He is standing on that cord, hanging on to the cables and looking down. So I just wanted the officer to know that I was there, so I touched his shoulder. He looked back and saw me, But the gentleman he was speaking to looked back and looked right at me also. And he said, "You're the negotiator, aren't you?" "No, sir. I'm just here to help whatever we can do to get you back over and get you some assistance." Continuing on this, he continues to look right at me. He goes, "You have 3 master's degrees, don't you?" I bit right into this one. "Yes, sir," because that's a hook. That's what we can use to extend the time with these folks. So the officer, being the very smart and intelligent man he did, sees the guy engaging me, so he does this. He steps to the side. I would have done the same thing. Now it's on me because he's engaging me. It's great with the commander right there, so now he's going to be watching me do this whole thing. I said, "Thanks, I will get you later." So I start engaging this individual, and he's under the influence of alcohol, very emotional, as most people are up there. He's going with his mood up and down and up and down. And I'm going with him, and it's not going very well. I'm not able to connect with him that well. He's not giving me much information, and he keeps looking down. And I tell my commander, "You know what, this isn't going very well. This may go bad. You might want to step back in case he goes." He goes, "Nope, I'm going to stay right here." Okay. So I keep going, and we found out what we call hooks, things that I can connect with him, whether that's family, whether that's something sports that we can connect with. We found out about his family, and I continue with that. How would your family feel, do you think, with you gone? And we expanded on that, and it was going well. And then all of a sudden, he just turns around, holding on that cable, looks at the water, and starts doing this heavy breathing. And to me, that's a big indication that he's going to go. So I had heard of a technique, and the only time you can really try this is during this type of situation. So I did this. "Hey!" It's to snap him out of that sequence of what he's doing, whether they're counting, heavy breathing, and it worked. And it worked well. And he turned around, and he was angry at me for doing that. But we reconnected, and I said, "Hey, brother, I'm here for you. I don't want to see you do anything." So we talked about this for a while and kept going about the family. I kept focusing on that. He decided, "Okay, all right, you listened. I'm going to come back over." So he did on his own. Fantastic. Fantastic. We got him some help. We take him to a hospital, like Kevin said. I get in the car with my commander, and we're heading back to the office. And he goes, "That was really cool what you did." I go, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, when you clapped and yelled." I go, "Well, that's something I had heard, and we wanted to try that out." He goes, "But 2 things happened when you did that." "What's that?" And he goes, "One, you scared the hell out of me." Okay, I'm all right with that. 2, that man was not holding onto that cable like this. He was holding on like this. So when you did that, his hand shook and he damn near fell off. I go, point well taken on that. Point well taken. How we do things when we're up on that bridge, we use active listening skills. Open-ended questions, paraphrasing, summarization, iMessages, a list of just 8 different active listening skills that we really use to connect with these folks. What we're trying to do is stretch that time out and allow those high emotions. If you look at this, high emotions equals low rational thought, and it's absolutely true. So we try to stretch that time out as long as we can. If I would just walk up and say, "Go back over here, what are you doing?" For one, the uniform scares people. It does. I know that, and I'll talk about this in a bit. We walk up slow. We approach slow. I ask their permission to come up and speak with them. I'm going to empower them as much as I can. Whatever hooks that I can get, family, friends, sports, whatever it is, we're going to go with that, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to expand on that. And this is what we do for this. We expend that time, allow the rational thought to come back up, and this is basically how it works. This is what we do. Some of the damaging phrases that we do not use. Calm down really gets people angry when you say that. More, you should. You should. They don't like that either. Nobody likes hearing that. You should do this. You should do that. Doesn't work. So, have you tried this? Works much better. Have you tried this? Why places blame, makes them very angry, makes us angry. Why did you do that? Why are you here? You're not getting the understanding of what's going on. And I understand, my favorite. Do we really? Do I understand when he's over that rail? No, I may have depression, but it doesn't go to that level. I don't understand. But, so if I understand you correctly, or if I hear you correctly, and they'll tell you how they feel, and we can correct that. So we do not use these. I'll tell you a little bit about me. Right out of high school, I went into the Army, into the airborne infantry, stationed over in Germany. 2 years into my detail, I developed cancer, but a cancer that hits a young man at age 20 very, very hard. Testicular cancer. With that came months of chemotherapy, 3 operations, one of which called a lymphadenectomy, where they split you all the way down here, and they took out lymph nodes. And they took out 45 lymph nodes. 37 of those were cancerous. So it had spread all through my body. So I did months of chemotherapy, went from 175 pounds down to about 130 pounds. Lose the hair, lose the appetite. You know, it's very hard, very hard. My 21st birthday was spent in a hospital. Most people are out having their first drink. That's when we can drink in America. I'm in a hospital getting chemo. I mean, just bad stuff. When my mother was 49, she developed cancer in the lungs from smoking and passed away. The whole family there surrounding her. I have 1 brother and 2 sisters. Her mother, my grandmother, was there. She dies at home in front of us all, and I close her eyes. That's another hit on us. I was the motor sergeant in the California Highway Patrol. I was on the coast one day, very rural, windy roads. I was following some traffic coming back. Another guy on a motorcycle comes towards me around a corner way too fast, just misses the car in front of me and hits me head on, and I'm out. So we talk about TBI, traumatic brain injury. There's that happening right there. I get a ride by the helicopter to the hospital, and I'm off for several months with this. So all these things we talk about depression, how they can start, how they can build up. Here's another one for you. I promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2008. I have to go to a different area because that's where the job was. Find out, I get this pain in my arm and like acid reflux here. But didn't really think anything of it. I was training really hard. But this went on for 3 days of almost no sleep. When I would lay down, it got worse. And this dull little pain. But it wasn't the whole arm, just a little piece of it all the way down. Didn't really think of it. I went to the hospital finally, let's get this checked out. They do an EKG. Comes back fine. Everything's fine. The doctor goes, you know what? We're going to take a blood test. You'll be out of here in 10 minutes. Great, great. He comes back. He didn't have a good look on his face. He goes, there's some problems with your heart. So you take a look at what's already happened, and now there's a heart issue. 6 days in the ICU, 3 operations on the heart where they put stents in the heart. So I got all this done. Short time after that, unfortunately in law enforcement, many of us get a divorce. And that happened to me with 2 little boys. My ex-wife is from Japan. And this just knocked her down beyond belief. She wrote suicide notes to each of the kids and was looking up how to load a gun on the computer. So when I would go to work, my whole day was filled with, what am I going to come back to? Is she going to maybe take the kids with her if she goes? Horrible. Absolutely horrible stuff. I'm going to tell you she's doing much, much better now. But all this stuff is what can happen to people. Happen to me. I'm just the average Joe out there. All this stuff just knocked me down. When I tell you your body feels like lead, this is what happened to me. I could go to work and function fine. But at home, I could barely move sometimes. My body felt like lead. And when I tell this story to some folks, they come up and say, I got that same thing. And I wouldn't believe it if I had not experienced it. But this is depression. So I go back to the doctor, and he has me take this little test, 10, 15 questions. And then he comes back in the room in a little bit, and he goes, Kevin, he knows all my history. He goes, I have to tell you something. What's that? He goes, you have depression. He goes, well, how do you feel about that? How the hell do you think I feel about it? I'm depressed. I go, come on. So he prescribes me some medication, which worked for me. It's not for everybody, but it works for me. I still get those episodes, but that's just the way it goes. So with that, I developed something for me, and I'll share that with you. It's called my quality of life triad, and it starts with me on the top. There's a reason for that. It's up to me. It's absolutely up to me to pull up my own bootstraps, see what's going on with me. But with that goes my self-care, my self-compassion, realizing I'm not going to do everything right. It's all right to mess things up. I'm not going to be that hard on myself, which I typically am. But it's also me toning things down a bit. I do transcendental meditation. I do Aikido. The ex-wife is Japanese. My 2 boys are half Japanese. They speak it. I want them to retain that. So I do Aikido. It's a Japanese martial art. But the transcendental meditation really takes your blood pressure down and calms me down for this type A personality. My support system, crucial. Family, friends, the coworkers that I had, the people that I deal with now, crucial. People know that I can call them at any time. I have a list, day or night. If I need it, I can call them, and they're going to listen and understand and even come and see me if need be. Absolutely crucial. Professional care. I'm not just talking about doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, anybody in the profession. My Aikido instructor, the sensei, the gym instructor. If you do yoga, you're a yoga instructor. Anybody that can help you out. All these things make up my quality of life. They're very important to me, and they work. And I look at them all the time. This is what I need to do, and it works for me. I've also, to help people out, created this critical response model. And it's called the Release Program. And this acronym, as you can see here, I've written a whole topic about each one of these things, and I have that available for anybody who would like to see it. I don't have enough time to go into this right now, but it's about engaging somebody else. How do we make them feel at ease? How do we make them, let them open up so they can retain their dignity and still tell us how they're really feeling, what's going on in their life? We feel comfortable talking to them. They feel comfortable talking to us. I'll be happy to share this with anybody that's here. Why don't we talk about what's going on with us? Whatever that ailment may be. This denial, shame, and avoidance is me to the T, and probably a lot of people. Denial, a person, me, and people around them don't think anything's going on. Nah, it's just a bad day. Nothing's happening. It'll be all right. The shame, the avoidance of it, the guilt, thinking that I'm going to lose my job as a cop, they're going to take my gun, right up there with it. The avoidance, myself and family and friends think that it's going to go away in time. It'll pass, no big deal. He's just having a couple of bad days. It doesn't. It can get worse. So this is me and a lot of people right down to the T. This is my little boy. And I have his permission to use this. He's this tall. He's going to be taller than me any time now, so. His name is Kevin Jr. I call him Baby Boy. He's 14 now. Last year, I did a lot of traveling with Kev. We did a lot of speaking. One of my trips back, we landed at San Francisco Airport, turned on my phone, and there's a message on there from my younger one, Travis. And I thought it'd be a welcome home, Dad. Can't wait to see you. But it wasn't. Another kind of message. Dad, you need to get home quick. Kevin broke an iPad. He says he's going to kill himself, and he's in the backyard. I took it. All right. I'll be heading up that way, and we'll see what's going on here. It takes me about an hour to get to the house. I get there. The ex-wife, Travis, and my sister are in the house, in the living room. Baby boy is in the backyard, total darkness, just pacing. Okay, so I walk back there. He's facing away from me, and I put my hand on his shoulder. I go, "Hey, baby boy, what's going on?" And he just lost it, just completely broke down, crying. Like, I have never seen this kid cry like that before. So let's go sit down and chat about this. And he opened up everything. I had not gone into it with him, explained the divorce out of my own sheer embarrassment and everything else. Bad on me. He talked about school, getting a little bit of pressure to do drugs. All these different things that were hitting kids now. He wasn't being bullied, but all these things, just growing up, all these things were hitting him, and he didn't have a way to talk about it. He wasn't dealing with it very well. It's all right. We got through that night. He promised me nothing would happen. I take his word for it. It's my kid. But I did set up an appointment to go see a psychologist. The day we do this, we go there. I ask, "Baby boy, do you want me to be in the room with you?" He said yes. I asked the psychologist, "Do you want me to be in the room with you?" He said yes. I asked them both separately. I explained to the psychologist what I do for a living now. So there may be some suicide ideation there. We go in the room. He starts asking baby boy some general questions, trying to see what's going on with him. And little Kevin is very, very truthful. I learned a lot about myself that day. The psychologist asked little Kevin, what each person that is your family member, what bothers you about them? That was an eye-opener. That was really, really good. Goes into it further down the road, and he goes to little Kevin, "You're not suicidal now, are you?" Horrible way to ask that if you do not know that. Horrible. Then he looks at me, just like this, and he goes, "Did I cover all the bases?" Everything that we do is about rapport building that rapport. He just lost all rapport. I was furious. Not only did you do this in front of the kid, you don't ask a little kid, "Are you suicidal now?" Or, "You're not suicidal now, are you?" Of course he's going to say no. Adults are going to say no because they're expecting something bad coming out of your mouth if you say yes. How could you do this? You're ashamed of the family and everything else that goes along with it. So I had a chat with this guy when we were done. But I want to tell you, it was the training. The man was very nice. It was the training. He was very receptive to my speaking about it. I'm not going to belittle him. I'm not better than anybody else. Never claimed to be. It was just the training. I've had training in it. I've been to many courses. That's all the difference it was. I found out in the United States, and mainly California, clinicians, psychologists don't have much training in suicide assessment. It's just, I didn't realize this. I had no idea about this. There was an assembly bill in California last year, Assembly Bill 2198, that would have regulated all mental health care professionals to have training in suicide assessment. The governor of California vetoed that bill. Horrible, absolutely horrible. Little Kevin is doing much, much better now. We stayed with that individual, that psychologist, for a few months, and he's doing fantastic now. He really is. So this was taken just a short time ago. Big soccer guy, travels all over, and he's doing wonderfully. But as a parent, when I say, sometimes kids don't want to talk to us. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. Here I am flying all over the United States, talking about suicide, talking about how we can talk to folks, building that rapport, and this is happening to me at my house. I failed horribly. For quite some time, I couldn't even talk about this. But it's better now, and I want to use that for you folks. We go out, and we're talking to people each and every day, but we have to remember about us, that quality of life triad. What happened at my home with me? And I'm out talking. I've been trained by the FBI to do this kind of thing, and it's happening to me. So don't let it happen to you. Take care of yourself and your family. When we're happy and things are going well, we're going to be able to do much, much better for those folks out there. This photo, average photo, we take them all the time down at the Golden Gate Bridge. Nice young man taking a picture with me. Here's that same individual over the rail. This is Kevin Berthia. I received a call of a man over the rail. I responded with my motorcycle on the sidewalk down there. I saw him on the sidewalk. When he saw me, whoosh, right over the rail. I thought he was gone. Around the two towers of the bridge, it's just this small pipe. Kevin stood on that small pipe for 90 minutes. During that 90 minutes, my knees were hurting like hell because I was kneeling down, talking to him so he could look down at me, so I can empower him. That's what this is all about. For most of this, except for 4 or 5 minutes, I listened. Kevin spewed things out and was crying. His birth mother had abandoned him. His depression, all these things, school, being bullied, all these things had taken a toll on him, and nobody had listened. I say it's very easy to listen, but actually it's really not. If you're giving them their full attention and you're hearing what's going on, instead of your own agenda and trying to think of, okay, how can I top that story? What can I do? What's my response going to be? If we can just take this in and listen, if nothing else, this is the biggest thing I got to tell you, is the listening. It's very difficult to do. We're not taught to listen. We're taught to read, write, do math, all these things. We are not taught to listen. Very, very important. Kevin did come back over that rail that day after that 90 minutes. This is him now. We were invited to New York City, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and he spoke there. And this is him now. And he actively speaks now to people about what happened during his life. How did he get to that level? He didn't even know how to get to the bridge. He doesn't even remember even driving to the bridge that day. But he got there, and he was over the rail. But this is him today. And it wasn't I saved him. I have saved nobody. Nobody, not one person. I may have been a conduit, but these people come back over the rail. It's them doing it. They're the ones that make that decision. It's easy to let go and fall. Very easy. It's much harder to come back over that rail. And for you folks, for these folks that you save, like I did. But remember that, we're that conduit. He's had those same problems when he came back over. They're there. They're not going away. But he faced those. Pulled up his bootstraps. Went head on with them. He still has issues. We all do. But he's here. And he's doing really well. I have a book coming out in the fall. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to read you one paragraph from that. There are some days when my depression makes me feel like I'm in a deep hole. It's difficult to breathe, and I'm surrounded by darkness. However, I know within the depths of my soul that I will get out. When I'm in that hole, how easy it is to forget how beautiful the world is above me. I know that somewhere in that hole, there's a rope. That rope was tossed down by all my family and friends. It's there, just waiting for me to find it and take hold. It's up to me to grab that rope and make that first move. When I do, and I get out of that hole, sunlight and friendly faces surround me. I smell the fresh air, scents like lavender, pine, the burning wood of a campfire, sounds of children playing, and a warm breeze in my face. All familiar and welcomed. Each and every breath after I grab that rope brings back fond memories and helps prepare me for the next time darkness may fall upon me. And that lifeline that is down for me is what each and every one of you do for folks. Mates, as I did some research before I came here, I wanted to see what this organization was about. And I found some things. And this was back in February. Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Mental illness is now the main reason Australian workers take extended sick leave or become incapacitated. The costs are estimated to be close to $10 billion a year and growing. Reforms are being held back by stigma and prejudice. But I also read the stats about mates of construction and what you're doing. It is not this. It is not this at all. You people have really, really made a difference in folks. And I'm just completely honored to be here. What I would like to see is this go worldwide, because you have made such a difference in people's lives. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and it's an honor to be here.